Hi, welcome to ADPC Customs. I'm going to be doing a talking head video today. Okay, most of my videos have been kind of talking head, but there have been some clips and some things in the background. This one, maybe not so much. I'm wanting to do a video about big tech firms. Specifically, Microsoft is forefront on my mind at the moment. I was going to do a video about Apple and iPhone. And I've been curious about actually daily driving an iPhone for quite some time. I had some experience with early iPhones way back in the day. And I decided I was ready for a new phone, so I went and bought a new phone. And I was going to do a video about my experiences switching to iPhone. It's not the latest iPhone or anything, but I was going to do a video about that. In fact, I'm shooting this video on my iPhone right now. But after having a look around on YouTube, watching some of the channels that I follow, and having a couple of experiences doing some repairs for family members this week, and then having a problem with my tower last night, I wanted to make this video instead. Now, I'll start a couple of days ago. My partner owns a HP laptop. It's not an NV, it's not anything with a fancy name, it's just an HP laptop. Now, it's serving her quite well. She's quite proud of it. Well, I say proud of it. She's quite happy with it. And she's had problems with the keyboard a couple of times. She actually replaced the keyboard. She bought a new one. She figured out how to disassemble, remove the keyboard, fit the new one. Slight problem, and I'll just get the old one. This is the keyboard from her laptop, or at least a very similar one. Nope, not the right one. I'm gonna have to find that. I can't find it at the moment. Basically the same idea, and it has a ribbon connector like this. The problem being on the HP laptop, that ribbon connector has to fold back on itself in about 2 ways, I think. And I believe that that's been causing some problems because she had another problem with the keyboard. Keys were intermittently stopping working. Some would stop and then start working again at a later date. Some would just not work ever again, and then you get new ones deciding that they weren't going to work. So she ordered another new keyboard, and this time she asked me to replace it for her. So I looked up how to remove the keyboard on the specific laptop. Surprisingly easy, surprisingly serviceable. So I replaced the keyboard, and I was not happy with the bend needed to be put on this ribbon connector. It's a very thin ribbon cable, as you saw on this one. It is paper thin. These tiny little traces that you can barely make out on camera, they do not really like being folded sharply like a piece of paper. That is going to damage them, and you are going to get faults. I think I've managed to do it without putting too sharp a bend on it, and it seems to be working fine right now. This is one of the problems I wanted to identify. HP at the moment, you may or may not have heard about them turning printers into a for rent service. So not only did they make it so that you couldn't use your printer without paying them a subscription fee for ink, they're now making it so you actually don't physically own the printer. Their laptops, whilst they look the part, and yes, I've seen their praises sung on numerous YouTube channels, the more modern ones Not overly serviceable. I don't like the replacement keyboards on my partners. It's too much of a fold of a crease in a very delicate connector that could quite easily be damaged. It's the same type of ribbon connector that was killing MacBooks not so long ago. The same kind of connector was being used for the monitor for the screen on Apple laptops, and a bit of dust was getting in. It was grinding in the fold of this connector and disconnecting it, cutting the traces. Now, this same thing can happen to this keyboard. I've got a funny feeling that in several months' time down the road, we're going to be buying yet another keyboard to replace this one. But as I say, it's now working and she's quite happy with it. Then my son, he has a Lenovo ThinkPad, and he knocked it off of the sofa onto his small chair that was at the side of it. Um, Thought nothing of it, picked it up, switched it on, loud beep, and a message on the screen, fan error. Oh. So I bring it up to my desk and I set about looking at how I get into it. Now here's the great thing. Lenovo may not be the best company in the world for a lot of things. You can service their laptops, or at the very least the ThinkPads. I think it was 5 or 6 screws that were captive on the base plate on the underside. It pops off and you have full access to everything inside. It has a removable M.2 drive, not soldered on memory, soldered on storage. I didn't have a proper poke around because I was there to fix this for my son so he could play Minecraft. But it looks eminently serviceable. The fact that it's a small number of captive screws on a base plate, none hidden under rubber feet. Take it off and you can have a look at what the problem was. As it turns out, the shock of the drop had dislodged the fan header. So I pushed that back in, was able to boot up, no problem, and it's been working absolutely fine since. Wonderful. Cut to last night, and my children, when I'm not at work at my day job, they like to do family game night. My 2 youngest do. And they really enjoy playing Minecraft. So it's the one concession I make to play Minecraft. I play it with my children. And my partner plays as well. They're on their laptops, I'm on my desktop. 2 problems arise, and whether or not they can both be attributed to Microsoft, I'm not sure, but it's kind of a Microsoft issue. First of all, I was not able to join their world and play because my version of Minecraft didn't match theirs. My version of Minecraft is a newer revision than theirs, and they were getting no update to the same version of Minecraft as me, so I couldn't play. That upset my daughter no end. Now, the only common denominator here regarding this was all 3 of their laptops are Windows 11. My desktop is Windows 10. But I'm on a newer version of Minecraft than they are, and they still haven't received the update. Makes no sense. There's been an update for quite a while, from what I can understand, and they were upset because I couldn't play. They got over it. They played with my partner. They played Minecraft for a while with my partner, and I took the opportunity to install a Microsoft Windows update that had been sat waiting to be installed for at least a day. A cumulative update for Windows. I can't remember the exact ID for it. So I installed it. I do the reboot. My system reboots, does it a bit slowly. I get several red lights on my motherboard. Never really noticed them before. Could be normal, could not be normal. I don't know. System wakes up. Now I use two screens. I'm a dual monitor boy. I like having two screens. It comes in very handy. Like, I'm recording this video now at my desk with my iPhone using two screens. I have OBS open on my secondary monitor so I can watch what I'm recording, and I currently have a web page open on the main screen here. So I can switch to this scene where I'm in the bottom corner, just down there, which is a weird thing to be doing while I'm in that corner. And you can see the Microsoft web page here. And that's one of the ways that I make my videos. It comes in very, 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 very handy. Now, as we are here on the Microsoft website, this is where I ended up, because after I rebooted the system, I only got my secondary monitor when I rebooted. My primary monitor, which is a Samsung G4, didn't wake up. I just got the little blue power light slowly blinking in the corner, never woke up. My secondary monitor, which is a 1080p Dell monitor that came with an old, well, I say old, relative, a desktop unit that we bought online on Amazon for my oldest daughter to use for her college work. She's since switched to a laptop and doesn't require it, and that system has now been converted into something else, and I'm using the monitor from it as my secondary monitor. But it's 1080p. Both my monitors are 1080p. And my secondary monitor came online, no problem. And it didn't look very good. The screen was stretched and large, and it had that early learning center graphics quality about it. You know, when you first build your tower and you've got no graphics card installed, or you've bought an off the rack PC of some description and it's not fully up to date and your resolutions are off. So first of all, I'm not in a good mood. I'm panicking that something has happened and my monitor is dead, or there is a problem with my graphics card. I'm able to get into the settings, and I changed the settings for my secondary monitor, which has now become my primary monitor at this point. And I managed to find out that the resolution had been set to something like 1080 by 768. And that was apparently the recommended settings for that monitor, when I know full well the recommended settings are not that. In fact, I will try and find them now. Here we are. Yeah, my secondary monitor is a Dell P2214H, and the recommended settings, with Windows now repaired, with everything fixed and working properly, the settings is scale 100%, 1920 by 1080, and it's landscape. That's my secondary monitor. That is its recommended settings. That is the settings it's been running at for as long as I can remember, for as long as I've had this set up. And that's always been the recommended settings. I come to this when I rebooted after the update. Sorry, it was 1024 by 768, not 1080. And it was awful. It was awful. I was able, even though it wasn't a recommended setting, I was able to change this setting back to 1920 by 1080. But it was not detecting my primary monitor. So, average person's panicking now. I'm not exactly a happy camper. What's gone off? What's happened? Why? So, as luck would have it, I've got the new Nvidia app. I've recently done a video on it, and I'm going to be doing a follow up video on it where I go into a little bit more depth on how it works, what you can do with it. So luckily, I've got that installed. because prior to this new app coming out and me using this app for a video, I didn't use NVIDIA software. I just installed the drivers from the website manually and let it and just did it that way. Luckily, I had the app, so I launched the app and it showed me that there was a driver to update to, a new game ready driver. Odd, because I just updated my drivers a few days ago. I looked at the date of the driver. The date of the driver was the 5th of March. The 5th of March. I know I installed the driver from the 5th of March. Today's date is the 17th of March. So this all happened yesterday, the 16th of March. And I'm looking at this and okay. So I installed the driver and it's like, I sincerely hope that this fixes it. Now, I might point out, I had been playing Dirt 5 a couple of hours previously with no problems. The driver was installed and working fine. I was getting good frame rates. Everything was working the way it was supposed to be working until I rebooted to install the update. The update had deleted my graphics drivers. It had deleted my NVIDIA drivers. I had to reinstall my NVIDIA drivers. It was operating using the Microsoft default image drivers. They ain't good, and they didn't recognize my second graphics card. My second monitor. Well, my primary monitor. It only recognized my secondary monitor. So my HDMI output from my graphics card had been disabled, and I was only able to use my DisplayPort output. Luckily, once the driver had installed and I'd done a reboot, everything came back, but everything came back very slowly. The system was very sluggish. So I thought, I'm not happy about this. I opened up the feedback app on Windows 10 and I sent feedback regarding the problem with the update. And I decided I was going to contact the Microsoft help desk. I should have learnt better by now. I've used them before, and I'll go into that in a minute. So it was the live chat, and after waiting a while, someone with an unpronounceable name, I do apologise, it's not your fault, but someone with a name who I'm not going to even attempt to remember and pronounce correctly because it'll end up coming across as offensive, asked me what the problem was. And I'd already stated in the run-up to getting onto the live chat that I wanted to make a complaint. So I explained the situation as I've just explained it here. I got, I am very, very sorry to hear that, and I understand that this can be very inconvenient, etc., etc., etc. That's no help. That is no help. And yes, it was inconvenient, and if I didn't know what I knew about computers, I might have thought that my system was broken and unretrievable, or thought my monitor was broken and thrown it away. Luckily, I knew a thing or two and was able to do a quick troubleshoot and got back up and running. But I couldn't figure out for the life of me why my system was running so slowly. It eventually caught up and got up to speed. But anyway, this service agent tried to tell me that the update would be incompatible with my system. This could be because They said this could be because the update is not compatible with your system. This was after he asked me if I had got how much. This was also while asking me, sorry, how much storage I'd got, how much free space I'd got on my drive. So I did a quick look in my in Windows Explorer, and here we are. Quick look in Explorer at my drives. I have total storage of about 3.5 terabytes. Don't get me wrong, it's not all free, as you can see, but a good chunk of it is free. All of my drives have a healthy amount of free space, including my main Windows drive. So I tell him I've got 3.5 terabytes. Awesome. Then he tells me to use the Microsoft Run and type in %temp%, hit enter, and delete temporary files, and then reboot to try and fix this problem. Whilst also telling me that an update that was pulled to my system because my system required it, because my system is running that operating system, those files are present. It needs this. This is something that is actually being updated. The handshake was done at Microsoft, on their servers, on their update servers, to tell my system that this update needed applying. But he's telling me it was incompatible, or could well have been incompatible. Not good enough, Microsoft. Bad advice, number one. Number two, if that is indeed the case, that I got an incompatible update pushed to my device, you're not doing your job properly, are you? Why would I get an incompatible update that can break my system sent to my system? I'm not getting updates that I don't require. I don't get updates that I don't require. I'm not getting an update for Windows 11. I'm not getting that pushed to me. I wonder why that is. Could it be because my system is incompatible and is not requesting that update because I cannot apply it? So that works. Don't get me started on the Windows Update page. Oh, here we go. Just checking now. This is live. Just checking now. I was going to show you this annoying mess here. I already know this. I don't care. Can this please go away? I don't need to see this every time I run updates. Now, I've had problems installing updates. After I installed an update yesterday that broke my graphics drivers, today I am now getting errors with updates. I know I shouldn't do this while I'm actually trying to record a video. It's going to take up system resources. But let's see. But this isn't the first time I've had problems with Windows and with Microsoft, particularly with Microsoft's help desk agents on their live chat. We had a problem, I forget what the problem was now, with my daughter's laptop. And it wasn't allowing her to do a certain thing. Or we couldn't do a certain thing with it that we wanted to be able to do. Oh, it's now doing those updates. It was an update like this one that broke my system. So I'm a little concerned. But it was a cumulative update for version 22H2. Anyway, we couldn't do this one thing that we wanted to do with her laptop. So even though I've been burned by Microsoft Live Chat help desk before, I thought I'll try them. His response was, she is an administrator on that laptop. That's a problem. We need her to not be an administrator on that laptop, and that will make this work. It's her laptop. She's the only one using it. I just want to be able to monitor it through Microsoft Family. Don't get me started on Microsoft Family. So he asked to remote in. So I allowed him to remote in against my better judgment. I think I must have been tired. I've often said I would not let a dying syphilitic camel remote into my desktop, or any of my systems, but I'd rather that than Microsoft remote into my system. So he remotes in and he removes her administrator rights, reboots the system, and the laptop is all but a brick. She can't even log into it. She can't do anything with her own laptop because this moron had removed her administrator privileges and bricked the laptop. and he had no idea how to fix it. His suggestion was we factory reset the entire device, reinstall everything, so that she could get back into it. That was the only thing that would fix it. The only thing that would fix it. So my daughter was going to lose all of her files that were on there, all of her stories that she'd been writing, everything. And she was so happy to receive this laptop. She loves it. It's nothing special, but she loves it. And she was going to lose it, and she was not going to be able to use it for the rest of that evening while we factory reset it and reinstalled everything. Aside from the fact that we couldn't get into Windows to factory reset it. I remembered hearing something about there being a hidden administrator account on Windows. So I interrupted the boot process on it, and I was able to enable basically it's the Windows equivalent of the super user. I was able to enable that, get into Windows, and reactivate her administrator account, and the entire laptop just came back to exactly how it was before the supposed Microsoft expert agent had done what he had done. And he had told me the only way to fix that laptop was to factory reset it or buy a new one, basically. These people are supposed to be helping us fix our problems with our systems, and they know less about them than we do, because they are ordinary people employed to answer chats and phone calls, and they have a script in front of them, and if you deviate from the script, they are lost. Don't use Microsoft Help Desk. Do not use the live chat unless you are prepared to do some of your own research while they're doing it, while they're telling you, and look at what they're telling you to do. Because I've been told by numerous agents to do things that are wrong, that will not fix my system, that have nothing to do with the problem on my system. A while back, this is when I actually decided never again is a Microsoft engineer or a Microsoft technician or a Microsoft anything getting anywhere near remoting into my system. Because I allowed him to remote in. I can't remember what the problem was now. It was a long time ago. He remoted into my system. Fine. It blanked my wallpaper. Fine. Kind of nonsensical, because my wallpaper is nothing. There's nothing to worry about with my wallpaper. And especially nowadays, my wallpaper is exactly what you see behind me in this video. That is my wallpaper. But it blanks your wallpaper so they can't see your wallpaper. But they still have full free roaming access to your system. And he was poking around in my folders on my desktop. He was poking around in folders that had absolutely nothing to do with what he was there for. And multiple times I grabbed my mouse and I took control of the mouse and then typed, what are you playing at? Why are you going in there? That's got nothing. You have no reason to go in there. Absolutely no reason to go in there. Oh, sorry, I'm looking for something. And he carried on. And then I'd turn away for a moment to talk to my partner. I'd come back. He's doing it again. He was going through my folders right in front of me on my desktop. Now, not to put too fine a point on it, but the average person who doesn't really know much about computers, who's gone to Microsoft for help, is liable to say, oh, I'll let you remote in, and they remote in, and this person then types in the chat and says to him, I'm just going to be doing this, it'll take a few minutes. The person whose computer it is liable to go, you know what, while he does that, I'll go and make a drink. Meanwhile, you don't know what this unscrupulous so-and-so is doing on your system. This, while as well, recently on social media, I was just doing a spot of doom scrolling, and I found a picture. This picture was a screenshot of someone's computer. It looked like the command line, and it was a script being run on his system. The caption is what gets me. Microsoft just straight up pirated Windows on my system. or words to that effect. What had happened was this person had got a new copy of Windows, was trying to install it and trying to activate it. They'd installed it no problem, and obviously, as we all know, even though you've just paid for your copy of Windows, we assume you did, you have to put in a key to activate it. Otherwise, you can't change your wallpaper, you can't customize anything. You're stuck with the basic, stupid stock settings, and you can't do a lot about it. So you need to put in an activation key, which comes with it. It's in the box with the USB stick, or as it used to be, the DVD, or it's printed somewhere on the box or whatever, and you type that in, and that activates Windows. Windows wouldn't activate. He couldn't activate. So he ended up on the same Microsoft chat that I've used, and this person remoted into his system, tried a bunch of things, couldn't do it, and this guy watched the Microsoft technician, the Microsoft engineer, the Microsoft agent, whatever he wants to be called, use his remote access to the PC to open up a web browser and navigate to GitHub, where he downloaded a script. I'm not going to tell you the name of the script. A lot of you probably already know the name of the script and where it comes from and who made it and what it does. He downloaded this script and ran an unknown, unsigned script, as far as anyone knows, or as far as this particular individual knew or could have known, ran it on this individual's PC to activate Windows. Illegally. It's not a Microsoft script. It's not the proper way to do it. This is a script designed to activate Windows and Microsoft 365 without paying for it. Now, regardless of your feelings about that kind of software and these programs and things that you can get that enable you to quote-unquote pirate Windows, even if you've bought a legitimate copy and you need an activation code, regardless of all of that, this script, whilst being hosted on GitHub, which is incidentally a Microsoft-owned website, Microsoft, GitHub is, it's not Microsoft. It is not an authorized script. There could have been anything in that script, and this Microsoft technician or Microsoft agent went and downloaded that and ran it on this person's computer and activated Windows using a script. So now there is also the possibility that Microsoft will figure out a way of detecting when these scripts have been used and when Windows has not been activated properly. Plus, I keep doing that. My experience with this script, because I looked up this script, I looked into it, and this script doesn't activate Windows permanently. It's not indefinite. Or at least the way he did it, using this script, isn't permanent. From what I can tell of trying to use it myself, I can't get my microphone to stand up now. Being so angry, I've just been knocking everything all over the place. It activates it in the same manner that you would do a batch activation as a company. And it activates it for a limited time, so it's going to need reactivating at some point. This person may not know how to use that script. This script may have been deleted off of the system at the end of the activation by the engineer. I don't know. But this is Microsoft. They make the software we are using on our systems. We use Windows 10, we use Windows 11. Some of you might still be ill-advisedly using Windows 7 or Windows XP. I know they are lovely operating systems, but they are dead now. Don't use them. But these are the people, this is the company that manufactured Windows. These are the people who coded, invented, designed, and keep bringing out all these new versions of the operating system? Is this what we want from people who are creating all of these things? They create Windows 11 for business, Microsoft Teams, the era of AI. I don't know how much I want AI in my system, but and then building laptops. Are you going to trust a laptop from the same company that has their online help agents use illegal scripts to activate software that has a glitch in it that will not allow it to be activated, even though they designed it from the ground up? Is this what we want? Is this what they should be doing? Or should we be holding them to task and telling them, look, this isn't good enough? Every time you get an update that breaks your system or causes a problem on your system, use the feedback tool. If Windows is operating well enough that you can get to it, use the feedback tool and leave feedback on it. Go online, go to the forums, chat to people in the forums. They might have figured out a solution for it. In the forums, they are a lot more helpful and seem to be more knowledgeable than most of the Microsoft people I have spoken to on the Microsoft Live chat. Talk to them. Go to the LTT forums, for Christ's sake. Even they are going to be better. Watch out for the gatekeepers and the people who are trying to gaslight you and troll you. Same on any other tech forum. Don't go to Facebook. Some of the people in the PC groups on Facebook, some of them are morons. Some of them are just out to straight meme. Some people are seemingly wanting to watch the world burn because they're telling people to do things that are going to completely ruin their systems. There was a guy having a problem. He was booting his computer after his brother-in-law had been fiddling with it, saying he knew what he was doing, and now his computer wouldn't boot, and it said something along the lines of insert the correct boot device or select the correct boot device. And he'd posted a photo of this error and a photo of his BIOS, and people were telling him he needed to reinstall Windows. All he needed to do was change his boot order so that the motherboard knew to access which drive first. He'd got two drives in there. One had got the operating system on and one didn't. And he just needed to tell the motherboard which one to go to for the operating system. And people were telling him he needed to reinstall his operating system. Some people were telling him he needed to swap out his RAM sticks and change them around. Some people were saying he needed to buy a new hard drive. The best pieces of advice I found on there for him were to check his cables for his drives, adjust the boot order, reset the CMOS, and reboot. But everyone else was telling him to reinstall Windows. One person, really intelligent, and when I pointed this out to my partner, who, by her own admission, is not a techie person, but she gets by. This person suggested Control-Alt-Delete. Control-Alt-Delete. What was that supposed to do? So yeah, don't rely on advice from Facebook. Don't rely on the Microsoft team on the live chat, because frequently they know less about your problem than you do. They have no idea how to fix it. You go even slightly off script, they are lost. But as I say, should we not be taking them to task? I actually made a point of going onto the live chat to complain about an update that had been installed on my system that had caused problems with my system. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I can understand that. It can be a great inconvenience. Yes, it could have put my system down completely and made me unable to do my job. As luck would have it, it's not something I require to do my job. It's something I require for this channel and something I require for my own personal recreation, so I can play games and browse the internet and things like that. But it's not part of my work. But the fact that I couldn't use two monitors would have made me doing YouTube very difficult. One screen's not enough real estate when you need to have multiple programs open at once and you want to be able to monitor them all. I like to be able to look over and see what's going on my other screen. I can see everything that I'm doing on camera. There was an update a couple of weeks ago that was just sitting, and it was just sitting like a turd in a punch bowl on people's systems. It would not install. It would fail to install every single time. And after weeks and weeks and weeks, people on the forums, there was a thread on this that was multiple pages long of people trying to figure out why and what was wrong. And they were being told it had something to do with their recovery partition. It needs to be a certain size. Resize that, restart, and it should work fine. How many people know how to resize partitions on their drives? How many people even know that there are partitions on their drives? How many people, even if they know about partitions and have a rudimentary understanding of how it works, are going to be comfortable resizing a partition on their main drive? Best part is, a bunch of people actually applied this. They did this. It didn't work. How about you withdraw the update because it's causing problems on systems, because every time you use your system, that update is attempting to install, failing, attempting to install, failing. Maybe after a reboot, it's re-downloading parts of it and attempting to install and failing. So it slows down your system because that is a background process constantly happening. How about you withdraw it so it's not doing that, and you fix the update, send it back out so that it works, instead of all these stupid workarounds. This is not acceptable behavior from a multi-billion-dollar tech company that has its software sitting on the desks and laps of the majority of users in the world. The majority of people in most countries are using Microsoft software, whether it be their operating system or another piece of software. Most people are using Windows, swiftly followed by a lot of people using Mac OS, and a few people using such as Chrome, and then the various Linux distributions. I never had a problem like this when I was using Linux. I like Linux, but Windows is usually more convenient for me. And it comes pre-installed on almost any device you buy. You go out and buy a laptop, it's not going to come with Linux Mint installed on it, is it? That's a rarity. That's something you don't find very often. So yeah, I just wanted to have a rant about how shoddy this is from Microsoft. These people are paid large sums of money to create these patches and these updates and make this software work. And there are people who are paid in the same company to check them over. You'd think they'd have a couple of systems that these updates will get pushed to before they get sent out into the wild to see if they're breaking them and if they have a problem. In-house. Yes, there's those of us out in the wild who have got the insider program, so we'll get an update before anybody else gets an update. So we run the risk of it being a problematic update. But that all depends on which branch you're on. You could just be on the I'll get it a couple of weeks before everyone else branch, which is what I'm limited to because of my platform, because of being Windows 10, because of running an Asus Sabertooth motherboard, because I'm running a 1660 graphics card, because I have an i7 3770K and not a brand new system. because Microsoft wants to put arbitrary limits on things and wants to make it so that I need TPM and I need this and I need that to run their precious Windows 11. My partner's laptop that I referred to at the beginning of this video, not a new laptop, doesn't have TPM, doesn't have a modern CPU, isn't necessarily rated to run Windows 11. She used one of the workarounds. She's running Windows 11 on an old system. The only reason why I'm not doing it is because I've got too many things installed on my system that I would need to back up and reinstall and make sure it's safe before I can go through with trying to install Windows 11 on here. And it'll probably run fine. I'm sure there's plenty of people with very similar setups to mine who are out there who are running Windows 11 with absolutely no issues whatsoever. But it'd have to be a fresh install. It wouldn't be an upgrade install. So I'd lose everything. I'm not willing to do that at the moment. But it's not good enough, Microsoft. HP, get your head out your butt. Apple, you've got a great device there. Stop being so up yourselves and thinking you need to sell it for as much as you're selling it for. When someone's making the choice between a brand new graphics card, a brand new phone, because it has to be iPhone, and it has to be Nvidia, or a new car, or feeding their family for a month, not a good look, guys. Over £1,000 for a phone. Oh, but it can do this, and it can do this, and it can do this. Do I really need all of that in my pocket? You know, guys, we need to remember, a mobile phone is a mobile phone. Being able to read emails and send emails and do text messages and watch videos on them, great. But on something so small in your pocket, do you really care about 4K? I watched tons of videos where they're reviewing the phone or they're doing an unboxing on the phone. I've just recently watched one with Linus on the Nothing Phone 2A. But they talk about, oh, this camera this camera that. Really? It's a phone. But hey ho, we all fall into that trap. I'm shooting video on the front-facing camera of an iPhone XR right now, which I paid £180 for. It's used. Serving me quite well. There are a few things I don't like, and if you want me to do the video about the iPhone, you know, Android guy finally uses iPhone, let me know in the comments, and I'll look at making that video. And let me know if you'd like to see that follow-up video for the Nvidia app. But we are being held at the mercy of these tech companies because of the stupid decisions they're making on our behalf, saying, you don't know what you want, we know what you want, this is what you want, this is what you're getting. This is why we're getting phones with no headphone jack. Not everyone wants to go and buy Bluetooth earbuds. Don't get me wrong, yes, you can get them relatively cheaply now. But we're all turning into snobs with certain things now. Oh, if it's not 4K this, if it's not DTS that, if it's not Bluetooth version such and such, and if it's not Beats or EarPods or AirPods or whatever, it's not good enough. And we're expected to pay premiums for this. And these days, even though you paid your premium for something, it doesn't necessarily even mean you own it anymore. Don't fall for it. Tell the companies you're not happy about it. Tell them that you're not going to put up with it. Tell HP to go pound sand because they want you to pay a subscription to be able to use a printer that you actually did buy outright and you've not got one of their stupid subscriptions for a printer. And the best way to tell HP to go pound sand? Don't buy an HP printer. The best way to tell Microsoft that you're not happy with what they're doing? Don't buy Microsoft. Hey, if you want to continue running Windows, that's fine. Every single time you encounter a problem, file feedback. Make a complaint. Or just don't ever install any update and make a point of pointing out that you are, to anyone who will listen, and pointing out to Microsoft that you are not installing any updates to your operating system, even if they are important updates, because you do not trust them to keep your system safe, because you have had problems with their updates breaking your computer. Don't keep allowing them to dictate to you. You have rights. Tell Microsoft when their updates are causing problems. Don't let them get away with it. Make a nuisance of yourself, because unfortunately it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. Eventually they're probably going to relax certain requirements on Windows 11 because they're going to put Windows 10 out to pasture, and they're going to want people to continue using Windows, and they're going to want to make people happy to continue using Windows. So they will probably relax certain requirements, which will get a lot of people very upset. They'll probably validate more CPUs. Either that, or they're actually going to start saying, well, you'll have to use the workaround, won't you? Or you'll have to buy a new system. And I'm not being funny. I don't want to go out and spend hundreds and thousands of pounds on a new system just so I can use Microsoft's new shiny. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe this was just a ranting video that just went off on too many tangents, and you don't think that I've got a point or I'm right about any of this. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've had some of the same problems. Let's have a conversation in the comments about Microsoft and their abysmal record for helping people with problems with their PCs. Let's talk about all these things. And let's keep it civil, shall we? Some of you may be watching this video on a Mac. Don't just beat down on Windows users because you think you're superior because you own a Mac. You're not superior because you own a Mac. I'm not superior because I run Windows. I wasn't superior when I was daily driving an Android. I'm not superior now I'm using an Apple iPhone. Certain circumstances, certain systems, and certain manufacturers and certain operating systems are better than others. Depends on the situation, depends on what you're wanting to do. There are certain things I can do infinitely better and infinitely easier on my old archaic Windows 10 machine with the old components than someone operating an M1 Mac can do. Because it just works on my system. There's things I can do better on an Android phone than I can on an iPhone. There are things that I like about the iPhone that I can't do on an Android. So remember, it's personal preference for the most part, and it can be quite subjective as to which system's better. Some people find certain systems better for aesthetic reasons, for ease of use reasons. Sometimes that operating system is better for a particular use case. A Mac might be better for certain things. Oh, I always use a Mac for video editing. It's just better for video editing. Really? With your 8 gigs of unified memory? Non-upgradable. You're going to be doing a lot of editing on that, aren't you? But let's keep it civil if we're going to start arguing about the merits and demerits of different operating systems. But let's have a discussion in the comments. Is Microsoft doing everything that they should be doing when it comes to quality control and releasing of software and software updates? Is Microsoft's help desk actually worth it? Do they train their help desk agents to actually be helpful, or do they just give them a script and they can't actually do anything? Like I say, let me know in the comments. Let's have a bit of a discussion about this. And as I've said before on the previous video, Lewis Rossman, go and look at the guy. Go and look at his video. Go and look at his videos. Go and look at his channel. He talks about a lot of these things with regards to large companies trying to screw us over or trying to get away with subpar work and subpar service. So, anyway, like, subscribe, leave a comment, give me a couple of video suggestions if you've got some, and hopefully I'll see you, yes, you, in the next one. See you later.